able to get her camera to work, and she is great. If not, then we're just going to have Heather and I on video. But folks, if you haven't done so already, I want you to run to Facebook right now. Go to search for the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind and request to join that group. You'll see Heather and Amanda in that group occasionally sharing great stuff. All the time sharing great stuff. And I'm going to mute Amanda out.
Sorry, mute me for a second. I'll be situated here shortly.
There you go. All right, we got her just muted. Did that work, or did I get the wrong agenda? Figured it out. That worked. Still hearing the background noise. Is that on your end, Heather? Heather, can you hear me? Nope, I muted the wrong one out. There we go. Now you're live, Heather. All right, good stuff. Okay, so, what's that?
I figured out why. Heather's on my login, too. That's why there's no video.
Yeah, there you go. That's what logged in under the same login. That's all right. Good stuff. All right, well, let's get started. We got a ton of people on the webinar today. So, folks, if you haven't already done so, go to the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind on Facebook. Request to join. And this is the third installment of a 5-part series that we're doing as our way of kicking off the Business Strategy Mastermind Conference that we're holding in Anaheim, California on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. And you're going to be able to come to that event, and you're going to be able to hear Amanda and Heather sharing some of the best stuff they've got. They're both speaking at different times throughout that event. And it's going to be a really cool event. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that right now, but I do want you, at some point in time, I want you to go to clubwealth.com. And Madison, I'm going to have you go ahead and type that into your screen, into the chat box, so that everybody has that. But it's clubwealth.com/BSM, as in Business Strategy Mastermind. So without any further ado, I want to introduce our guests today. We have got Amanda, Thomas, and Todd on the phone, running through the airport. We're talking about a super successful single mom out there selling tons of homes at ridiculous prices, which is good for her sellers, I suppose. But Amanda is literally just tearing it up out there. Second year in the business. Her team is consistently doing 35, 40 transactions a month. Unbelievable. And by the way, we've also got with us Heather Jackson Chess. And let me tell you something. Heather, as a buyer's agent, how long have you been in business now, Heather, altogether?
Altogether, I've been in the business almost a year and a half.
Almost a year and a half. Okay, so in the last 5 months, this is what's crazy to me. As a buyer's agent, so Heather is one of the buyer's agents on Amanda's team. As a buyer's agent, Heather in the last 5 months has put together 51 transactions as a single mom, balancing life, balancing all the things she does. It's incredible. It's awesome. I'm super excited to get her on the phone with us. I got to say, there's one group of individuals that I love in this world. It's single moms. Let me tell you why I love single moms. Because single moms don't screw around. Single moms figure out a way to get stuff done. We can all live by their example. Us guys, man, we can just figure out all kinds of reasons not to get stuff done. Single moms are the exact opposite. So, Amanda and Heather, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, Amanda and Heather, take it away.
Heather, you go first, my dear.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to share some tidbits of how I've actually put together 51 deals in 5 months. So my number one thing that I kind of tell other people on my team and other people that ask me questions is answer your phone is number one and follow up. My biggest trick to the trade has been whenever I get any sort of lead, whether it be from a open house or from another lead source or personal contact, is get them set up on a portal. Find out what they want, listen intently. I learned a lot about how to do real estate by my own purchases and sales in the past. I bought 3 homes and sold them all with different agents because none of them ever followed up, never checked in, didn't listen to what I wanted. And so I kind of learned how to be an agent by what I felt they did wrong. So the portal, setting people up on automatic search, has been the biggest thing for me. I've had so many people that have told me, thank you for sending me houses, and, I know you're really busy, and, I'll be on vacation, and get a text, and they're like, they'll see something on Facebook, and then I'll get a text saying, wow, you really are always working, because it's automatically sending them houses that I didn't find for them myself. That's kind of one of the biggest tricks that I found. Building a team has definitely helped. There's people that help out when I am busy. Being a single mom and kids running to practices, my son had a major surgery over the summer. We're still dealing with about 3 or more doctor appointments a week that are all downtown and not close. Finding somebody that could go open a house for me or do an inspection, just whatever I need to help me out is huge. Finding somebody to just to be able to work as a team, and then I can pay them back, when needed. My lending partner has helped us greatly. Whenever I send them a lead, not only are once I send it to them, I know that they're super qualified and going to take good care of my buyers, but they will also let them know about me without me having to toot my own horn of what I'm doing. It's somebody else that can reiterate that you're with a good agent who's going to take care of you. That's been one of my biggest things. Just showing a ton of houses has completely helped. Knowing the inventory. Oftentimes when I get, a lead or something, I've already shown that house. I know about it. I can tell them the ins and the outs before I ever even get there, which shows that you're knowledgeable. And so I preview as many properties as I can, even attending other open houses, just knowing what's available in the area. And then, in all the different areas, it's makes you look a lot more knowledgeable, especially when you're new, because I didn't know a lot. So I just try to do as much research as possible. I think the most important thing is really listening to people's wants and needs and figuring out what they're looking for and really finding what they're asking for. I had a client and his number one priority was RV parking, and, the one house he wanted to see didn't have RV parking. And I said, are you sure? You really, you're going to be mad at me at the end of this time. And anyways, ended up showing him some more properties and actually kind of talked him out of the sale. And at the end, of course, he was very, very happy. Where I'm really trying to listen to what they're asking for and making sure that they get it, because sometimes they get distracted by shiny countertops. So, multitasking is the biggest thing as a single mom, learning how to multitask and being able to really time block my time. I'm very regimented to where I get up in the morning, and even when, it's not an acceptable time to make phone calls, I send lots of emails, text messages, and just using that downtime so that when I am with my kids, I can be present with my kids, and just really taking advantage of the downtime. And then once you feel productive, then you're just sort of stay in motion. And I just say be prepared when you're out going in for showing appointments. Do the research on the properties beforehand. Know what else is available in the area. Know what else is sold recently and what the prices were. Know if it's a fair price for the house. So when they're asking you those questions, you need to know if it's overpriced and not really going to be a fair price if you did make an offer. Also, I try to work as many deals with the agents. If it's something that I think my buyer is going to like, I start working the deal before I ever even show them the property. We continue dialogue, go back and forth. I'll tell them a little bit about my buyer, who they are, how qualified they are. I try to get as many of my buyers pre-qualified and pre-underwritten. So completely that by the time we write the offer, we don't even have to worry about that. Yeah, those are my tricks that I've learned.
This is awesome stuff. I'm really loving where you're going with this. My mind is swimming right now. You just threw a ton of great stuff at us really quickly, and so I've been trying to write some notes down here to make sure I come back and grab some of this. And by the way, you guys do that too. In your questions box on your screen, you'll see there's a questions section there. Type in your questions for Amanda and Heather, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that we get your questions answered. Now, one of the things that I've got several people here that are asking the same question, and I want to hear what your thoughts are on this because I'm curious too. What does a day in the life of Heather look like? I mean, really, from the time you get up till the time you go to bed, what does that day look like from start to finish?
It can be a little crazy, and so days vary, but I try to take advantage of every little bit of time. I usually wake up pretty early.
What time? Be specific. What time do you get up in the morning?
5:30, so it's not too early, but 5:30 is my typical morning. then I kind of usually jump on the computer right away, and that's between the time of when I'm waking up my boys and, you know, yelling for one to get in the shower and the other one, and in between sending emails and everything else. And then it's usually then at 7:30, it's time between 7:30 to get the boys to school. Do that, and then after that, hopefully there's some time for the gym if I can get myself motivated enough. And then appointments start. My day then is full between, I mean, I pretty much show buyers or have buyer signings or inspections all day long. When I do get new buyers, I try to show as many properties a day as I can, and I try and get in front of people as quick as possible. So I don't think it's a bad thing when you're busy and you tell people that I can either show it to you at 3 o'clock or I can show it to you at 7 p.m., you know, or tomorrow at noon. It's being very specific because otherwise you get kind of pushed around too much. So you have to still be kind of in control of your schedule. And they see it as a value that you're actually a working agent. But yeah, it's from then on, I mean, it's just every day varies, but it's just, I try to show as many properties as possible. Evenings, you know, my kids get a ride home from school, so I don't have to worry about pickups and that kind of thing, which is helpful in the afternoons because it seems to be, they're teenagers. So by that point is it, you know, 3:30 is almost every day I'm showing properties at 3:30. So, and then it comes down to, you know, dinner and things like that. And there's evenings that I show, you know, properties and stuff with my kids are with their dad part of the time. So it leaves me evenings open. And the nights that they're with their dad, I literally follow up, usually until about 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, so this is good stuff. I'm loving this. And one of the things that you just said, so first of all, I love how real you are with it. Whoa, we got wicked background noise here. Plane taking off, Amanda?
Sorry, that's me. No.
Kidding. I'm just joking. Anyway, so one of the things I really love is you're just very real about it, right? You're like, look, you know, I'm getting out of bed about 5:30. I get up, you know, I'm hitting my schedule. And one of the things I love is while I'm on my computer, I'm yelling at the kids from my office saying, get in the shower, it's time to go. I mean, come on, that's real. Let's call it what it is, right? And so I really love that about you. The other thing that I love that you said, now there's a bunch of, I love it all, but here's one of the things that really keyed on, was controlling the buyer appointments. So instead of saying, when do you want to see houses and making them the captain of your destiny, if you will, you're giving them an alternative choice. It's either this day and time or that day and time. Pick one. Is that right?
Absolutely. In the beginning, I was getting those drugged around a lot more. So I have learned to structure it a little bit more. And I try to, if for instance, I have somebody who wants to see a house that happens to be, because also houses anywhere. I've sold houses far and wide in a probably 150-mile radius all the way around. So if I have somebody that...
I love that.
For instance, tomorrow I have somebody that wants to see, which is about an hour away, but I happen to be taking my kids and my nieces to the pumpkin patch. So we're going, which is in the same town. So I'm going to take a little detour. I'm showing a property. I scheduled it right before, so I can show a property and hit pumpkin patch. Okay,
so hold on a second here, because I want to touch on this, because I get asked this a lot, and I know there's people on our webinar right now that are thinking the same thing. So are you saying you will literally take your kids with you from time to time on a showing?
My kids are actually very helpful. It was kind of funny when my older son had surgery, and so my younger son, we were kind of stuck in the hospital, and I ended up putting 5 houses in a contract a week that he was in the hospital, and I just sat in the hospital and followed up. But I had to go show like 2 properties, and so I had to drag my younger one with me, and he was not having it. He did not want to go, and so I finally told him, I said, here's the deal. If we get into contract on this and close, I'll pay you $100. Well, as a 14-year-old, $100 is
that's a lot of money.
And I was just like, I just need you. I was so tired. I hadn't slept. I was under stress. I said, I just need you to be good. This kid sold this house. It closed. So it was really good. But I told him, he's like, I really like this yard. And, this guy completely changed his attitude. And it was sweet. It's a client I've been working with for a really long time. And, people value family. It's not a hindrance that you have children.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that. And I got to tell you, nothing's going to be free at the Chess residence anymore. I'm telling you right now. He's going to be hitting you up for everything now, man. That's how it is at my house, man. Nothing's free. I want a hug. My kids want money for it. I mean, seriously, it's like,
yeah.
But so check this out. I'm really liking this, and I really hope you guys heard this. And by the way, for those of you that are just logging in, I can't believe it. The webinar size is growing. Usually, most webinars you'd see somebody leaving, but now we have more and more and more people coming on right now. So for those of you that just came on, we're talking right now with Amanda Todd and Heather Cheston. And I know it says Amanda Todd on top of her image there, but that's actually Heather speaking with us. Amanda is a single mom team leader in Roseville, Sacramento, California area, and in her first couple of years in real estate now, her team is now doing 35 to 40 transactions a month. Heather is a buyer's agent on that team, and Heather is freaking killing it. Heather is literally doing 50 months. She put together 51 transactions in the last 5 months. That's pretty insane. And by the way, Heather is also a Club Wealth buyer's agent coach. So pretty cool stuff. We'll talk to you guys about that another time. If you have buyer's agents want them to be able to produce like Heather, give us a call here at Club Wealth. Go on our website, request a strategy session. We'll get with you, and we'll get you hooked up with Heather in terms of coaching. Now, that being said, another thing that I wanted to mention, and I like that you talked about this, is the whole idea of taking the kids with you showing houses. My wife was not. I was raised by a single mom. And my wife, while she was showing houses, so I was out doing listing appointments and all that kind of stuff, and my wife Tara was one of our buyer's agents. Well, I got to tell you, Tara took our kids with her all the time, and never once did we ever get a complaint about it. And you know what? If people don't like it, they're probably not the right person to work with anyway, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, and I would assume that for the most part, people are loving the fact that your family's involved, that you're practicing what you preach, and that you're taking that time to not only be with your kids, but to have them out and learning about what it's like in the real world.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Okay. So we've got some questions for you, and then we're going to jump to Amanda here in a minute. And we'll Amanda, you can jump in anytime, by the way. But I want to jump in.
Sorry, I'm going through security right now, and my bag just got flagged for extra screening, so I'll jump in when I can.
I thought you had TSA pre-check and priority status.
I do.
I'm still teasing you about that. There's no. All right, so I've got. Hold on, I've got Team Haig on the phone here.
Say that, Matt, please.
What's that? Amanda, you're gonna have to mute us out one more time while they're frisking you. Awesome. Okay. So we may get to hear a whole nother level of TSA activity over there. All right, so Team Haig is saying, that their daughter has gone on hundreds of showings with them, and even sometimes they take the dog once in a while because they just don't have a choice. Good stuff. Rachel Kennedy, I'm going to unmute your microphone. You had a question for Heather about managing the kids on nights and weekends. Go ahead, Rachel.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
My name's Rachel Kennedy, and I am in Denver.
Welcome, Rachel. It's good to have you here. So go ahead and hit her with your question.
So my question for both Heather and Amanda is, what is the number one activity that everybody should be doing to grow their business?
Heather, since Amanda's being frisked right now, can you hit us with that one?
I would just say talk to everyone. Don't be a secret agent. I know a lot of people that have become agents and then they just don't tell anyone. And so it's just, I talk to everyone at the grocery store, at the nail salon, during a massage, whatever it is. And I let everyone know what I do for a living. And I think that's the key.
So that brings up a question for me. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so aren't you just waiting for the team to generate leads for you and you just handle the team's leads? Is that not how it works?
Not really. I don't mind that part either. That part is the bonus, but it's still that's just a bonus.
Okay, now you guys, I want you to hear what she just said right there. This is very, very important, and I hope you guys heard how Heather addressed that. The team leads are a bonus. That's not the bread and butter. That's the bonus on top of the bread and butter, which is Heather going out and driving business. Heather's taking full responsibility for her business, and she's understanding that, look, if it's to be, it's up to me, right? If I'm going to be successful, I got to go out and be successful. I'm going to take care of all those team leads because that's gravy, that's icing on the cake, but that's not my bread and butter. That's just more additional great people that I get a chance to work with. I love your attitude on that, Heather.
The other thing, too, is that there is no lead too small. There is no, I don't care who it is, if it's a condo, if it's a trailer, I don't care what it is, I'm going to close it. And I can't tell you how many people I come across that are like, oh, it's not a this many dollar lead, or I don't want to go to that neighborhood, or the first house I sold literally had transients in it.
Yeah.
And I sold it had transients in it. I was like, I don't care. I mean, it's in the ghetto, and I'm like, it just, and it eventually, once you build enough, volume and stuff, and then you kind of like move your way up, I come across a lot of people that are just too big of an ego to want to, I'll do any deal. And you know what? Those people, the first time home buyers in those small little houses are the most rewarding closing than the higher income ones.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's interesting, Dan. We're going to talk about safety in a moment here, you guys. I know that's definitely one of the big questions. Man, I'm getting a ton of questions.
Can I jump in really fast? Because I want to answer the question that was just asked to you. I believe it was Rachel.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. They're screening me for explosives. Apparently my bag was a flag.
Search stuff.
Yeah, I know, for real. Anyways, to answer your question, in my opinion, about what is the number one activity you should be doing, the number one activity you should be doing is you need to figure out what you want. What do you want your business to look like? How many deals do you want to close? And you set your intention, and you set that intention every single day. And you set that intention that every activity in that day is going to lead towards what you want it to look like. Because it's up to you. I mean, like you just said, if it's to be, it's up to me. But I feel like so many people get distracted so easily. I mean, I'm not perfect. There's times where I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm on Facebook. I got to jump back to following up with leads or, whatever it is. And for me as a team leader, my focus has changed as I don't really work with buyers anymore and just handle listings and work with, coaching and mentoring the agents that, my focus has shifted slightly. But still, that doesn't mean that I just sit around with my feet up all day long every day. I'm running, honestly, even more now than I was before in a lot of ways. And so it's just really, I think the number one thing that people don't realize that they need to do is to very first figure out what do you want it to look like, and then every day work towards that. Thank you.
And I agree with you. I want to preface this though, Amanda, because you're saying in a lot of ways I'm running even more than I was before. Amanda, let's call it what it is. That's by choice. That's because you're a very, very, very driven person. I mean, we're talking about a single mom who's killing it in every way, shape, and form, still finds time to date. And, oh, by the way, she's running triathlons on the side because she's bored, a half hour a day or an hour a day or whatever.
You mean like 2.5 hours a day? I get up at 4 o'clock every morning. At least. There's some days where I have 8-hour workouts.
That's what I'm saying. And so when you say that in a lot of ways I'm running even more than I was before, that really truly is by choice. And I'm pointing this out because I want people to understand that if for those of you that are thinking about building a team, I don't want you to be afraid of it. I want you to understand that if that's your goal, if that's where your mind is and that's where you feel like you need to be, then do it. Just jump into it. Just do it. Don't be afraid. Now, that being said, building a team is not for everybody. Heather, I'm assuming you don't want to build a team. You're loving where you're at. You're doing 51 transactions in 5 months as a buyer's agent. You don't have to screw with all the headaches and the overhead and the risk and all the. Yeah, seriously. I mean, why would I want to deal with that if I love being a buyer's agent? I'm killing it over there. So I want you guys to understand that regardless of what it is that gets you up in the morning and that gets you excited, make sure that you are living a balanced life. In fact, everybody write this down really quick. And I know Amanda and Heather know what I'm about to say here, but this is the single most important phrase or value statement that we talk about in Club Wealth is the following. Please write this down, everybody. No success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. And I'm here to tell you, these two women, they're living that. These two women have found that balance in their lives, and they're making sure they're taking care of their families and their business at the same time. No excuses. You don't hear them talking about, oh, I'm a single mom and poor me and I've got all this stuff. No, these two are going out there and they're like, heck no, I got all this stuff to do and I get it done and I'm killing it in my career and outperforming virtually every other guy out there. So, which I love, by the way.
Hey, Heather. Do we like victims?
Oh.
We do not. Heather, did you hear me?
Heather, I don't know if you heard what Amanda just said, but she wants to know, do we like victims?
Heather and I talk about this on a regular basis. You have two choices in life. You can take what's been handed to you and use it as fuel to build yourself into being the absolute best version of yourself. Or you can take those things that happen to you and make excuses, excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And guess what? It's up to you. Heather and I have both been through more things in our lives that we could choose to bury our head in the sand and sit and complain about how badly our lives suck, all these things. But you know what? One of my favorite sayings is the best revenge is massive success. Not that you want to live your life in revenge, but just taking that mindset that, you know what? I am going to take these things and use them as fuel to my fire to build myself and build my life into being exactly what I want it to be.
And you're doing it. You're living that. You're doing such a fabulous job. All right, I've got some more questions here that I want to make sure we get to. I'm going to unmute microphones here, so if you hear your name being called, please tell us where you're from. Rebecca Cooley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Rebecca, welcome. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and then let's go ahead and have you ask your question. I love your question.
I'm a buyer's agent with Team Stites out here in Menifee, California.
Right on. Shout out to Team Stites. David Stites, one of our Club Wealth coaches.
Yep, and my brother.
Right on.
Oh, he's calling me right now. That's funny.
So tell me again. Tell us what your question was.
Well, I have a 3-month-old, and I have had a pretty good, support group with having daycare and things like that by family, but it's not going to stay that way forever. And I have had to take her on a few showings, but only one time with like each client, because I don't want to feel like I'm bringing her with me every time. But I feel like unprofessional trying to load and unload a car seat, and it just, what's too much? What's the age cutoff? Is that just like ridiculous to have a car seat with me, and then I've got a lockbox and keys and everything else? I feel like I need her to be walking or something before I'm like taking her along, basically.
I would like to jump in and answer that if I could. I would say it depends on your clients, and it depends on your mindset. If you show your clients, hey, I'm a real person, and I tell my clients all the time, these hours are the time that I'm with my family. From 3 to 5, like I'm being mom. Then I'm doing homework, I'm making dinner, I'm mom. But if you show them every other hour, or, what your work hours are, is that you are on point, that you are the professional that's going to handle their transaction the best. And if you handle it just with confidence, and this is what I have to give, and this is what I have to offer, and I will do the best I can, then they'll respect that. And so it just matters the mindset that you have towards them.
I agree. And I love that you own that. I love that you're not afraid to just be you. And so, really, what I would suggest is, Rebecca, just bring them with. I mean, it's only a problem for them if it's a problem for you. If you've got things under control, if you're dialed in, and your kids not a complete interruption the whole time, right? They're not screaming the entire time. Bring them along. I got to tell you, my kids grew up on movies in the backseat of mom's car out showing houses. I mean, that's just it. Hand them a thing of Cheerios, put a movie on, and go do what you got to do, right? Yeah. So that's how we did it. Now, you may or may not want to do that. There's obviously safety concerns there too, so we want to be careful of that. But at the end of the day, that's up to you. Heather, did you want to comment on that too?
I was just going to say that always when my kids were little too, even though I worked a different job, it was kind of similar, where it was more of a drop-in and kind of last minute. And for me, the key was when I had to rely on family, it was very stressful. And so I finally found help. And when you find help and you find somebody I found this grandmother that when I would drop my son off, she never put him down for a nap. She would hold him the entire time. And I thought, well, what, if I have to be gone, being spoiled is okay. Who cares if his routine is, regimented while I'm away, he's being loved. And, took him with me when I could, but when I couldn't, having strong support that you trust is essential, and it'll take away so much stress.
So I love that. And, and really what you're saying is, look, take control, own it. You choose. Whatever your reality is, it's going to be fine. Just own it and don't be a victim. Don't let, other people's scenario or the reliance on other people determine your outcome, whether it's in professionally or personally. And I've got someone very dear to all of us. I know you guys know her and love her like I do. So I'm going to unmute Brittany Howard's microphone. Brittany Howard, how in the world are you?
I'm
Brittany!
I love you, Brittany. What's happening?
I love Brittany.
beside me. She's waving at y'all right now.
All right, so Brittany, we want to hear it. I love what you talked about wearing your child. Talk about that.
So I baby wear Sophie. I wear Tula's, and I'm a huge proponent of that. But when she's saying hi now. When she was little, probably, let's see, I became a realtor. I became a realtor about 19 and a half months ago. So she was pretty young when I was a realtor, maybe a year and a half or so. If I needed to bring her with me, I just let people know, hey, I'm bringing my baby with me. She's really, really good. And I would strap her on my back and just show a house. And they were like, oh, okay. Now she can walk and talk. So she goes around telling people how fabulous the kitchen is. Don't they love the countertops? And look at the size of this closet. So, and she seems to like doors a lot. She's like, look at this beautiful door. Oh my God, don't you love it? Did you say that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's awesome. And my hunch is that endears people to you at some level. They love that. They're like, wow, check out this little kid. She's going to be a rock star real estate agent like her mom someday, right?
Oh, she said she likes to show her rooms.
Nice. I love it. All right, that's great stuff. All right, anything to add to that, Brittany, before I meet you out?
I'm sorry, I said it again.
Gotcha. Done deal. All right. Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and mute you out. All right. Moving on to this more stuff. By the way, thank you for that, Brittany. We love you. I cannot wait to see you in Anaheim at the Business Strategy Mastermind Conference. That's going to be awesome. I'm seriously looking forward to seeing you there. All right. So let's go on with a couple more questions. And actually, Amanda, did you have anything you want to mention and talk about before I go on to some of the other questions? Because we got some really good questions.
One of the things that I did want to add to that is that I believe in involving your kids in your business tremendously because it teaches your kids how to work. I pay my kids to do things, whether it's, stuffing envelopes for mailers or participating and helping out with the community events that I host. Part of being a single mom, just being a parent in general, but for me, one of the things that I feel like I shoulder the burden greatly is leaving a legacy for my children on teaching them to make the best out of every situation and to be a strong person in whatever circumstance you're in. And so I want them to be involved in that. And people respect that. People respect that tremendously.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. One of the things, speaking of client events, let's switch gears just for a moment because you were talking about client events. And in terms of client events, by the way, I'm a huge proponent. I hope you guys have been on our website at clubwealth.com and gone through the blog. There's actually a video on exactly how to do your client events. And I got to tell you, client events are huge. You want to do 4 client events per year. But Amanda, I know you guys do a lot of client events, and you always involve kids. You always have a kid element at your client events, which is very, very important. But one of the things you do at your client events that I want you to touch on real quick is the registration process. Can you talk to us about that and how you do it and why you do it?
Sure thing. Well, we know that a big part of the client event is to be marketing to this database that you'll have. And so because we always include the kid element, we make it so that every child needs a wristband to get in. We have bouncy houses at pretty much every single one of our events. We have bouncy houses. And so in order for the kids to go in the bouncy houses, they have to get a wristband. Well, what has to happen in order for them to get a wristband? Mom and dad have to sign in with their information. So then we have their information to market to them. Yeah. And we don't spam them either. We're very careful with it.
I had one of my coaching clients, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to embarrass them on a massive webinar like just hundreds of people. But what I do want to say is this particular client had a problem with the whole registration process at client events. And, it just seems slimy. Just let her. And my whole thought process behind that, and I want to know what your thoughts are, is that, look, the cost of me doing this for free for you is you giving me your information. That's to ask for all the entertainment I'm providing you at these client events. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't have an issue with it because I don't spam the database that I get from the client event. I typically send them a thank you for coming. I make sure they get an invite to the next event, and then maybe once a month do we send something out to that database. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I have only ever gotten kickback from one guy. And he is now, I watch for him at all of my events. He's now come to like 4 or 5 of my events.
And has he registered?
Yeah, he has.
So you got a lot of pushback, but he's still coming to the events.
Exactly. And I promised him I won't spam you, and I haven't. And he's still there every time. He makes it a point to come and find me. He's like, hey, Amanda. I'm like, hey, how's it going? You're back. So, I mean, I know I didn't push him away too terribly much. So, I mean, I guess, again, goes back to everything. It goes back to the mindset that you have behind it. If somebody feels like it's slimy, well, are they doing slimy things with the information? Are they selling it? Are they spamming these people? I mean, again, it's your mindset. For me, I tell these people, hey, I want to make sure that you know when I'm having these giant parties. Obviously, you're here because it was something you were interested in. I want to make sure you're invited to all of them in case it's something you're interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and I think it's a benefit to them. It's not. Hey, we're doing this for us. We're doing this about us. It's about you. It's about you. It's about you, and we're going to bring value to you. It's like Gary Vee talks about, right? I know a lot of you guys on the webinar today know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, and he talks about jab, 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 right hook. Right, I've got his book sitting right on my desk here. It's about value. Then you go for the close, but you got to earn the right to go for the close. You can't just be closing all the time like we used to back in the 80s, right? That's like seriously so 80s. You've really got to get with the times, and you've got to bring value, come from contribution. So
yes, selling does not equal convincing.
That's right. And by the way, when you have to convince someone to do business with you, they're not as good a client.
It's going to be a nightmare the whole dang time.
That's right. Yeah. So, in fact, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Heather, I'm going to ask you about convincing people, and I want to hear how you transition somebody from a lead into an appointment. But before we go to that, Amanda, I want to jump to you for your perfect daily schedule. I want to know, I know you're a big believer in the miracle morning, and I know you get up in the morning, but you've taken it further. We're talking about a perfect daily schedule now that goes beyond just the first 4 hours of the day. So tell us what you're doing, and what does your day look like?
So my perfect daily schedule is I get up at 4 a.m. and I do my miracle morning. For those of you who don't know what a miracle morning is there's a book that a man named Hal Elrod wrote, and he has an acronym called the SAVERS, and it stands for silence, which is meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which is journaling. He just couldn't figure out a great synonym for journaling besides scribing. I think it's quite clever. Anyways, so my schedule goes that I get up, I do my journaling. If I try to meditate right after I wake up, I'm back asleep. So I've learned I don't meditate till after I work out. And then I'm training for a full Ironman. I just did a half Ironman a few weeks ago, and I have a full Ironman in 6 weeks. And so then I do my workout, which are very long. And then I come back and I do my affirmations and my visualization. And so that visualization and those affirmations go back to really having a very clear picture of what you want. What do you want out of your business? What do you want your family to look like? And then I go through that. And then the rest of my daily schedule is I, get myself showered, do my hair and my makeup. And then my kids get up. And again, these are just some of the things that I've learned as being a single mom. I don't wake my kids up. They get up to an alarm clock. I teach my kids to be independent. I'm not going to be there to wake them up when they're in college. They need to learn to wake up now. And again, it's super important for me as a single mom, and again, how to juggle, that I'm not running here and there going, hey, get out of bed, get out of bed, get out of bed. I set very clear expectations for my kids. Your alarm goes off. They actually have 2 alarms that go off. Their first alarm goes off to get them up, and then the second alarm goes off that they know they're supposed to be out of their room and dressed by the time that second alarm goes off. And again, it's just teaching them to have that discipline, to live a schedule on their own. And so then my girls come in to my bathroom and get their hair done, and they all go downstairs and they have...
Oh, we're losing Amanda.
Sorry. I had a lead calling me. Zillow was calling me.
Heather,
Heather, call that lead. anyways, so again, like we have really, set expectations. They pack their lunches. I make sure, and again, it's the planning and me. I make sure they have everything they need to pack the lunches. And usually when I'm doing my girls' hair, I'm like, okay, what are you having for breakfast? What are you having for lunch? And then they already know. And then when I send them off and I'm finishing, gathering up my stuff for the day, they're downstairs unloading the dishwasher, packing their lunches, grabbing their breakfast, and so it's just being very, very structured. And when I get up before them and I've already set my intentions for the day and I know what I'm after, they are also, on their schedule. It makes their morning go better. It makes our interactions in the morning go so much better. And so that again, I have an alarm set that it's a very specific alarm. I don't use this alarm for anything else. When they hear that alarm go off, they know they drop what they're doing, they grab their backpacks and their lunches, and they get in the car. And so we call it the to the car alarm. And they just know anywhere they're in the house, they hear that alarm go off, they head for the car. And so then I drop them off at school and I head straight to my office. So again, as realtors or, independent contractors, one of the things that we don't do is we don't treat our day with a schedule. Like so many, like you would if you worked a normal 8 to 5 job. And I will be the first one to say, if I don't follow that schedule first thing in the morning, my day is trashed. Like if I don't get my workout in at 4:30 in the morning, it doesn't happen because the world is awake and my phone is exploding. Like it's kind of a joke.
There's another
sorry. Again, this is my phone exploding. I was out to lunch with some girlfriends and we took a picture together and they were all laughing because in the picture you can see the screen of my phone is just completely full with text, missed call, text, missed call, text, missed call, text, missed call, because my phone is just exploding all day long every day. And so that's why I have to do what I need to do to take care of myself before the rest of the world wakes up, before my phone is exploding. So I get to my office. After I drop my kids off at school, I go straight to my office, and I'm already, dressed and ready for the day. And then I start going through what I need to talk about with my team on our daily huddle. We do our daily huddle. And then I'm working on my prospecting, whether it's, agents that I need to interview or listing leads that I need to follow up or, making sure that I have provided the agents on my team with the coaching and the mentoring and answering questions that they have for their deals. And so that's my time to work on my business is from 9 to 11. And then after that, I am on appointments and I pack as many appointments as I can into the beginning of my day. And then once 3 o'clock comes, I'm picking my kids up from school because again, that's a non-negotiable to me. I said exactly what I want my family life to look like. And for me, that those few minutes after my kids' day of school where they get in the car and it's mom, 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 and they just purge everything to you. If you miss that, it's tough to get those moments back. And so I want to be there at the crossroads for my kids to be a part of their life and hear, what happened at school and who said this and who did that. Because I feel like that's so incredibly important to be connected to them, to know, if they had a rough day in this area or whatever. And so then, like I said, I'm mom. And I know a lot of single moms don't have this. My kids are with their dad 2 days of the week. And so for the 2 days of the week that my kids are with their dad, then I work like a 16-hour day that day. And so again, it's, Heather and I have talked so much about this, that you make maximum efficiency out of the time that you have, and that successful people do what unsuccessful people know they should do but don't do. So, Heather will make 200 phone calls a day. Heather will send 60 follow-up emails. I'll work a 16 or 18-hour day when I don't have my kids because I know what I want my life to look like and I know what I want my business to look like. And I know it doesn't just magically happen. I have to have the vision and I have to do the steps that it takes to get there.
Which requires discipline, and you've got to take that time when you're not with your kids. You know what that life that you want to have looks like when you're with your kids, and in order to create that, you've got to be uber disciplined when you don't have them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't tell you what movies are on the theater. I don't watch TV. And again, some people might be like, oh, well, that's not a balanced life. Well, at the same time, I've chosen that life. I have chosen that I have big dreams and big visions that I want for my family, for my personal life, for my company, that I've chosen to sacrifice not knowing what movies are in the theater and not watching TV because What do I want? I want to be able to provide a really nice lifestyle for my kids, and that's not going to happen if I've got my feet up and I'm watching The Bachelor and, out partying with friends every other night.
What's wrong with The Bachelor? You're hating on The Bachelor. What the heck?
You get the idea. I'm not hating on anyone who likes The Bachelor. It's just different than what I've chosen. I know the same thing for Heather, too. It's all about choices. It's all about choices, and there's a consequence. It's like the old adage, you pick up one end of a stick, you're going to get the other. So if the consequences that I don't know, I'm not aware of the TV shows, but the other end of the stick that I get is that I have a really high producing business, great, I'll pick up that end of the stick any day.
It's funny. One of the things I always talk about is you can choose the action or you can choose the consequence, but you can't choose both. So if you want that consequence, if you want to have the money or you want to have the time with your kids or you want to have whatever it is you want to have, well, that's fine, but there's actions you got to take to get that consequence. And the opposite is also true. People, we do smart things and sometimes we do silly things in our lives, and we need to make sure that if whatever we're doing, we need to understand that there's a consequence that comes with that. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So we're either going to like that reaction or we're not. So every single day we're planting those seeds for the future. I love it. So Heather, go ahead. You look like you've got something to add.
I was just going to say kind of a similar thing that, you just try to maximize every moment, take advantage of those times that you have free, pack it full so that you can, when you have some downtime, because you just pack the other time full of as many appointments as possible.
And I like what you're saying there. And folks, I hope what you're hearing both Amanda and Heather talk about here is when you're with your kids, be with your kids.
Yes.
For Amanda, it's from 3 to 5, right? It's from 3 to 5 o'clock. Amanda's not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda, but I have a hunch you're not picking up the phone between 3 and 5 o'clock. That's your family time. You are 100% there, and your phone is somewhere else. True or false?
My phone is with me, but I don't take phone calls. I don't, really, unless I know that it's like an emergency. And again, I have an app that I would recommend everyone in real estate get. It's called YouMail. And it's YOU Mail. It texts you your voicemail. So I can't tell you the last time I even listened to a voicemail message, but because then I can see, is this really something urgent, or can my client wait till 5 o'clock if I get back to them? And, I can see the message and I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to take care of this. Then I'll jump on really fast and jump back off. But I'm there. I can listen to my kids. Even if I'm responding to a text, I can listen to my kids. I'm still there helping with homework, making dinner, having that family life that is so important to me. And like I said before, I tell my clients, this is my time when I'm with my family, so that when I'm not with my family, I can be absolutely game on, because I'm not feeling spread thin in both places. I'm game on in my business because I know that I fed my family both emotionally and physically. And when I'm with my family, I'm game on because I know that I took care of my clients when I was on, and it was on.
Well, and you're not feeling resentful towards your business when you're with your kids, and you're not feeling resentful towards your family when you're working at work, because
exactly.
You know that I've cultivated both. I've spun the plates in both parts of my life, and that's really
I can say even more than resentful, you're not feeling guilty. I think as women, especially since we're targeting this to moms, women have a tremendous sense of guilt. Yes. And so you're not feeling guilty that you're neglecting your clients, or you're not feeling guilty that you're neglecting your children.
Well, and so let's talk about that. There's another thing, and this is going to be, I'm not going to go, I'm going to let you take this as far as you guys want to take this, but I'm going to throw it out there. So one of the things that I want people, you're a single mom right now. Well, let me back up. Some of you have a man in your life, and that's great, and that's awesome. And that's another part of your life that you need to cultivate, and it takes time, right? And it's not just about time with that guy and the kids. It's also about some time alone with that guy. And you deserve to have that time alone with that guy, and your relationship needs to have that time. And so if that's happening in your life, you've got to take the time to do that. Now, here's something else I want to mention, and I'm not going to mention names or any specifics or anything like that, but what I do want you guys to think about is, I had a call recently with a coaching client of mine who's a single mom, and one of our conversations revolved around, look, I don't want to be single the rest of my life. I want to have a relationship, and I want that relationship to turn into a marriage at some point. So we had to make sure that a plan was put in place and that willingness was there to go treat finding that person like a business. You got to take the time to go find that person because they're just not going to magically appear unless you do your part. Heather, Amanda, do either one of you want to comment on that?
Heather, I'll let you take that one away.
Well, I'll comment on it. So I recently got engaged.
Congratulations.
And he's awesome.
And so recently, putting 51 into contract in 5 months, needless to say, it's been a little bit busy. And so for me, it was trying to find that balance. And so for my non-negotiable, one of my non-negotiables every week now is after my open houses, I try to do 2 open houses on Saturday. I'll do 10 to 12 and then 10 to 12 and then 1 to 3. And then after my 3 o'clock, I won't show any houses or do any appointments. And so we try to hit 4 o'clock church on Saturday and then date night. And so that has been, and my kids are with their dad on Saturday evenings until 7:30. And so that's my non-negotiable every Saturday is date night between, 4 and 7:30. And sometimes it goes longer, whatever. But that for me has been trying to set something.
Love that. That is fantastic. And by the way, for those of you that are married, it's also important. You need to have that date night. That is such a big deal. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Heather. Amanda, anything to add to that?
I would say that, again, it goes back to setting the intentions in your life. So if you want to have a partner in your life, put that out there mentally, too, that you are going to open yourself up to that mentally.
It's interesting you say that because this conversation that I had with this client went very similarly to that, where we were talking about, you have, and I don't want to get overly religious on everybody on the webinar here today, but you guys all know I'm a Christian. I'm LDS Mormon, right? So the faith is very important to me, and I know it's important to a lot of you. I'm just a real believer that God helps those who help themselves. And sometimes we have to open ourselves up to receiving that help. And part of opening ourselves up to that is we got to be willing to do our part. We got to, and sometimes just having that willingness to do our part and committing that, okay, I'm going to go do my part on whatever this thing is in my life that I need spiritual help with or that I need Heavenly Father's help with. By opening myself up to that, all of a sudden the blessings of heaven start to pour out to me. And it may or may not have anything to do with anything I actually did, and yet it was a willingness in my heart and in my mind to do whatever it took to fulfill my obligations on that whole deal. And so I really appreciate you mentioning that. I think that's really, really important. And Brittany's talking about visualization. And by the way, Brittany, you had another question. I'm going to unmute your microphone because you had some really good stuff here. So I've unmuted you again. So first talk about that and then come back to your other question, Brittany.
I'm a huge visualizer. When I first heard about Amanda, of course, Tristan I think she did a webinar at the beginning of the year. So I kind of was a little bit lost because as a new agent, you don't know what you're supposed to do. Sorry. I don't know kind of how to be who you're supposed to be. So I started, after reading her, it was like in my mind that I was, sorry, Cleo. In my mind, it was, I wanted to sell X amount and there was kind of no other option. So in your head, if you start believing that you will sell X and there is no other option, I kind of came, and I don't know when it happened, but I looked back and I was like, holy crap, how did I sell so much this year? Because there was no other option. That was all I believed. But I wanted to ask Amanda, my question was about her 3 to 5 time with her kids, and Heather too. Y'all's 3 to 5. How do you not reply back to your lead when our conversion time should be within, the first 3 to 5 minutes?
Well, I mean, that's a different story because I do have agents on my team that do respond to the leads. I'm not the one that's personally responding to the leads, so that is tough. I would say, maybe you could temper it with responding to them via text and email and saying, I'm in an appointment right now. Because, hey, that's an appointment on your calendar. I'm in an appointment right now. I would love to chat with you. Can I call you back at 5:30 or, something like that? And again, because I'm also a big believer in having the professional appearance as well, so instead of saying, I'm running around with my kids right now, I'll say, I'm in an appointment right now. Right. Can I call you back at 5:15 when I'm finished? So then you're addressing them, you're connecting with them, and you're still keeping, generally speaking, to that time commitment to your family.
Yes.
Yes, please. Hit it.
what I find with that too is that it also shows a level of commitment. If you say you're going to call at 5:30, and then you do call at 5:30, not only have you connected, but you've also shown them that you can, you stand behind what you say. So I think it's even kind of given a double benefit.
I agree 100%. Awesome. Brittany, anything else on that?
Nope, that was it. Let me mute before the 3-year-old starts again.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. And I agree 100% with you guys. That's great. You guys, it's true. Your personal time, for example, when we build out the perfect daily schedule, one of the things that we do is we first schedule time with family. So as you're designing your perfect week, you've got to say, okay, these are the times that I'm going to be with family, and then after you've got all that scheduled in, then you can say these are the times I'm going to be at work. Otherwise, you never make the time for the family. Now, another piece of that is anytime somebody calls and wants to interrupt any of your family, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's family time or church or it's another appointment with an agent or a buyer or whatever, it's always, I have an appointment at that time, I can do this time or this time, which works better for you. Always very, very important. And let me tell you, people want to do business with successful people. And when your response is, oh, I can meet you anytime, well, you must not be very successful then because you've got all the time in the world. Attorneys have a schedule that they keep, right? CPAs have a schedule that they keep. You, if you're going to be a professional, need to have a schedule that you keep, and people need to feel like they're not your only client. Although you want to treat them like they're your only client, they need to understand that you have other people that want your time. That's good for you. That'll help you. All right, any thoughts on that? Okay, we're wrapping up. We're getting close to the end. So I've got time for just a couple more questions. If you haven't already done so, make sure you type your questions into the questions box. There's a lot of great stuff. Now, Christy Bodner, I'm going to unmute your microphone. You're going to have to unmute us on your end so that you can tell us who you are and where you're from. But I wanted to touch on what you had said a moment ago in your comment. So, Christy, there you go. How are you, Christy? Christy, can you hear us? Okay, we cannot hear you. Apparently your microphone's not working, but I wanted to share this with Heather and with Amanda. Can you hear us now? Nope, still not there. Okay, so I'm just going to read Christy's comment. She says that she's loving this webinar. It's answering every question or worry I've had about entering this career, being a mom and rocking both worlds, or both roles. I am too definitely against the whole victim card, and I'm so thankful for life's twists and turns that have only made me stronger and greater and more determined. So you guys, thank you so much. I know you're bringing a ton of value for me on this webinar. I just appreciate you guys taking the time out to bring your so much value to everybody else that's on the webinar. So in our last couple of minutes, final parting thoughts from Heather and from Amanda. Go ahead, you guys.
Can I jump in? There's one thing that I've noticed with my kids, a couple things, and I'm big on this with the team too, and Heather can attest to this. I'm huge on love languages. And if you Google 5 love languages, there's a quick little test that you can take for yourself. You can take it for your children. Learn, and I like to know what my team's love language is as well. Learn the people in your life's love languages so you can love them how they need to be loved. Out of my 3 kids, I have one who's words of affirmation, one that's touch and gifts, and one that's quality time. So the one that's quality time, I'm always calling her in, hey, come make dinner with me. Hey, come make dinner with me. You know, she wants to just be by me. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes that I really devote that one-on-one attention. And so from that, I've developed something that I call mom and me time. And kids especially need all 5 love languages addressed to them all the time. But I've learned to do something that I call mom and me time. And where I spend 10 minutes one-on-one without my phone with each of my kids each day. And that may not sound very much, but heavenly day, let me tell you, it is tough to carve 30 days out of an afternoon where my kids are competitive swimmers and my girls are dancers and we've got, Cub Scouts and activity days and, this and that we're running around to. It is not easy to carve 30 minutes out of each afternoon, but you know what? I do it, and that fills my kids so much. Just that 10 minutes of one-on-one where I don't have my phone and I let them choose what we do. So With my son, we're usually playing a video game. With my oldest daughter, it's, we're looking at recipes on Pinterest or, dresses, or she wants me to shop online with her or teach her how to do something with her hair or her makeup. My littlest, it's, what do you want to spend time doing together? It's those things. It's, if I'm playing Play-Doh or coloring with her, or we turn on music and we have a dance party together for 10 minutes. Whatever it is, just setting aside that 10 minutes for each of them, again, fills me so that I know I've been on point with my family. Not that they only get 10 minutes out of my time each, but it's just making that concerted effort to be on when I'm on as a mom. And so then in my business, I'm not having that guilt that I didn't, take care of my kids, or I wasn't there for this, or I wasn't there for that. I know that I've done my part to really do my best to build my relationship with each of my kids. So that's huge to me. That's one thing that, my parting piece of wisdom to what I've learned from having happy, filled children is to do that with them.
I love that. So the 5 Love Languages book. I really recommend that. It's a great book. Good stuff. Thank you for that, Amanda. Heather.
Well, I can't go after that. Come on. I say that, my kids have seen me struggle. And so when your kids have seen you really, really struggle, and then they see you finally being successful, they're so happy for you, and they're rooting for you. And so my kids are like my biggest fans. And so they like it when I share with them. They're 14 and 16, and they like me to share all of it. They want to know all of it. And, they want every aspect. And I keep a big board in my garage of my open deals, closings, and they help me on my board. And they come and they look at it, and, and it empowers them to know that, sticking it out and really keep your head down, keep working, don't get discouraged, don't give up, just keep going. And I think it's a bigger lesson for them than they could have ever learned had I been successful all the way through.
Yeah. Well, and I think what part of that lesson too is being transparent with our kids and making sure that they know everything that's going on. I think that, and I've heard you both touch on that a little bit, and I really want people to understand when we hide things from our kids, like financial challenges or other struggles in life, hiding that from them is not doing them a service. We need to be transparent about them. Those are learning opportunities, not only for us, but for them as well. And so we need to be sharing those things with them, and we need to help them understand, hey, look, mom has tough days too. Dad doesn't get it all right? Well, dad's making a mistake. Whatever's going on, we want to share that with them so that they can see not only that we are human, but that we also find a way through that thing, whatever it is, and that and they can use that. Because here's the reality: they learn more from our example than they ever will from what we tell them. So the only way we can truly be an example on how to solve those things in life, so that when they get into their real life, they can solve those things on their own, is by our own example. So I love that, Heather. Thank you so much for that.
And to build on that too, super fast, I just want to say something. It teaches your kids that life is not always just sunshine and rainbows, and that tough things happen. And again, it's all about how we face those tough things. Do we play the victim and just roll over and say, oh, woe is me, life is terrible, all these bad things are happening? Or do we pick ourselves up and do we show our kids that, guess what? This happens in life. Life is not perfect and life is not easy, and this is how you face it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. I completely agree. So we have one more question before we wrap it up. And I just wanted to, Amanda and Heather, can you guys give us another 2 minutes? Are we good?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so because I've got Gail Montasano is on the line. Where's Gail? I got to unmute your microphone. Gail, you got a fantastic question. So please, Gail, first share your thoughts. Well, tell us who you are, where you're from, and then share your thoughts that you shared with me in the text, and then ask your question, please.
Hi, this is Gail from San Diego. Can you guys hear me okay?
We sure can.
How's it going, Gail? Shout out to all my peeps in San Diego. You guys are awesome down there.
Thank you. Thank you guys for doing this. So I'm a single mom to a special needs 9-year-old, and I'm very driven. So sometimes I compete with the emotion that I should be more of a mom or work, and I get torn sometimes on it.
Oh, we're getting a little feedback, Amanda, on your phone. Gail, say that last part one more time. So you're having the conflict between being a mom and being a professional, and then we missed the last part.
And how do you cope with all the stresses that come with, bad days, bad clients, just trying to do it all, because we want to be super mom. We want to do everything. Stay healthy, stay fit, make money, be at every event, and how do you juggle that, every day?
Heather?
I can answer for myself is I have a son that has some challenges also, and so we've done some IEPs and have to go to school, and I'm there a lot trying to make sure that he gets the best of what he needs. Who happens to be the same child who had a major surgery this summer, still dealing with it. We were at the surgeon's this morning. All those same things happen to me, and you just have to schedule it. You have to be a mom when you have to be a mom, and then the time that you are, make it quality. And then make sure that you have good care, somebody that you feel safe with when they're not with you. And that's half the battle too, because then at least you know that they're taken care of to the best of their abilities. And with cell phones and video and everything now, and like iChat and stuff like that, I mean, you can be in touch with them even when you're not there, in between or driving in the car and things like that. But then it's just when you have time, when you can schedule out some time that you're not being a mom, make sure that all of that time, if that's your professional, just kill it. Do whatever you need to do. Phone call, phone call, phone call, phone call, phone call.
I wanna add one thing, and sorry, there's speaking going on in the airport, so I hope it'll stop in a second. But I want to address where you said.
Oh, we lost you.
Sorry. Speaking of clients, somebody was calling me. Where you're talking about having bad days or bad clients. I learned, and again, actually I learned this from Hal Elrod, and I kind of make my kids crazy with it, but it really makes a difference. We call it, I tell my kids, give it a 5-minute funeral. You can be upset about it for 5 minutes and just vent, get it all out, be frustrated, be mad, be sad, be whatever it is, but ask yourself, can I change it? And if you can't change it, give it a 5-minute funeral. Be as mad as you want for 5 minutes and then bury it and move on. And that's honestly the mindset that you have to take, because again, if you listen to, Darren Hardy or, any of those great people, they talk about they've had failure after failure after failure in their lives, but what defined them was how they recovered from those failures. So when you have those bad days or those crappy clients, then pick yourself up, use it as a lesson of what could I have done differently to make that situation better. And if there is nothing that you can change, give it a 5-minute funeral and move on.
Thank you, guys.
That is fantastic. You're welcome. Our pleasure. Thank you, Gail, for being on today. So you guys, I've personally learned a ton today. I've really enjoyed the time with Amanda and Heather. I cannot begin to thank you guys enough. We got tons of people. And by the way, if you guys want to leave any comments in our comments box for Amanda and Heather, if you want to share how you felt about today's webinar, just type that right into your comments box right now, and we'll make sure we share that with them. For those of you that aren't already registered, make sure that you take the time to come out to the Business Strategy Mastermind Conference. The link is right there in your chat box. That Business Strategy Mastermind Conference is in Anaheim, California on November 9th, 10th, and 11th. Amanda and Heather are both speaking in separate sessions at that conference, and they're going to be sharing a lot of great stuff with you guys so that you can take your businesses to the next level and balance your family life at the same time. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And Amanda, I know you're running through the airport, heading from place to place. And Heather, I know you've got people banging up your phone as well that you need to get with so you can get that stuff done. So your time has huge value. We appreciate it. Cannot thank you enough. And one last chance for you guys to give any parting thoughts before we wrap up today.
Anybody's welcome to contact me. My email address is amanda@amandatoddgroup.com. Reach out. I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to listen. I'm here for you for whatever you guys need. I'm happy to be a resource.
Right on. Thank you very much. Heather?
So thank you for this opportunity, and I even learned from everybody's questions. So it was a good afternoon.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, everybody, have an awesome day. Make sure you check out, we're going to get this posted on Club Wealth's website, so make sure that you jump on there. If you haven't already joined the Club Wealth Real Estate Agent Mastermind group, do that. And thank you again, Heather and Amanda. Everybody have an awesome, awesome weekend. Have a great day. And remember, inside you is a giant world-class beast waiting to come out. You got to unleash that beast on the world. So remember, in your mind, you got to be thinking about this. You really are world-class.